been almost 6 years since Apple released the M1 chip back in 2020. So today I'm going to compare it to the M4 and M5 chips, which are currently Apple's latest. I've got a lower spec 8GB Air here alongside an M1 MacBook Pro with 16GB of RAM. Apple M1 has 8 CPU cores. 4 of those are full-speed performance cores, while the other 4 are lower clocked efficiency ones. It sent waves through the laptop market at release, beating pretty much all chips from the likes of Intel and AMD. A big part of it was due to that efficiency, leading to crazy battery life and virtually no sign of overheating, even under load. The M4 chip from 4 years later actually has 10 cores, with 4 performance and 6 for efficiency. M5 is the same story, 10 total, 6 performance, 6 efficiency. I'll get into performance in a second, but clock speed is worth considering too. The M1 chip maxes out at 3.2 GHz, while M4 and M5 are capped at 4.5 and 4.6 GHz respectively. That's a 43% jump in processor clock speed between the M1 and the M5 chips. But do the differences on paper make a difference in the real world? Well, it's safe to say M1 MacBooks are still very capable. Even now, I regularly edit videos on this M1 MacBook Pro, and haven't had any issues. 1080p video is absolutely fine with some minor slowdowns when it comes to stabilizing or rendering very long clips. I've been using this M4 MacBook for the exact same thing lately and can report similar but definitely snappier performance. Moving clips is a fair bit more fluid and renders do finish a good few seconds earlier, but I don't think it's enough for me to say I'll upgrade right away. The M4 MacBook Air is still around 3 times the price of a base M1 machine, and frankly there is not 3 times the performance. Of course, there's not really a used market for M5 MacBooks just yet, so it's going to cost you over £1,000 or dollars to go down that road right now. But let's be real here, not everyone wants to render video on their laptop. Truth be told, a lot of the things YouTubers measure performance in, video and photo editing for example, they tend to require strong multi-core CPU performance. Base chips like Apple's M1, M4 and M5 are far better suited to single-core stuff. Things like browsing the web, dabbling in a little bit of GarageBand, and of course running day-to-day apps like Microsoft 365 from whatever operating system you decide to update to. And when it comes to regular things like that, I can actually feel the M1 chip falling behind a bit now. macOS 26 Tahoe is Apple's latest version. They rolled it out to every 2020 or newer MacBook towards the end of last year, and I've updated several M1 Macs to run it. Of course, the M1 chip is no slouch. Everything does work as it's supposed to, but there's some quite noticeable lag just doing day-to-day things like restarting, changing settings, and of course opening a lot of tabs for example. It's no secret that macOS Tahoe was a major revamp of the operating system, and there are far more tricky animations to run, alongside the new Liquid Glass UI that must tax the parts to some significant degree. M4 and M5 really don't show a hint of slowdown though. This M4 MacBook Air is unfazed by pretty much any and all day-to-day computing I can throw at it in macOS 26, and I think memory is a big part of that. Apple released the M1 MacBooks starting with 8GB of RAM on board. There are of course 16GB options like this Pro, but those aren't too popular thanks to their significantly higher asking price. Now, 8GB of RAM is a pretty fragile starting point for computers of the 2020s. It's what Apple calls unified memory as well, and this means the GPU doesn't have any dedicated video RAM and shares that initial 8GB with the rest of the system. The base model M2 and M3 MacBooks were stuck with 8GB too as recently as 2024. But then Apple decided to bump up the minimum specs with the release of M4. All M4 Macs have 16GB of memory from the get-go, twice the capacity of older machines. Realistically, that is a big bump, and something that makes all the difference when you're opening a lot of tabs or a huge spreadsheet for example. It also helps if you're undertaking workloads such as videography, photography or audio production. Yes, M1-powered MacBooks have built-in tricks like swap memory helping them out a bit in such situations, but the difference between M1 and M4 and 5's memory isn't just in capacity. Apple's M1 machines use DDR4-based memory. It's capable of 4266 MHz speeds, so not slow by any means. M4 and M5 computers use ridiculously fast DDR5 memory though. M4 RAM runs at 7500 MHz, with M5 clocking in at a ridiculous 9600 MHz. It sounds like a crazy bragging rights kind of speed, but Apple are right to push the memory inside these things hard since it's shared across the board. Before we dive into benchmark performance, I want to talk about today's sponsor, Hears. Hears make high-quality, precision-fitting earplugs engineered to prevent hearing loss. They're perfect for going out somewhere loud like a gig or a nightclub, but I found myself wearing these a lot in pretty ordinary places like on the train or even in the library, just because they do such a great job of blocking out ambient sound. Their high-fidelity attenuation filters are patented and have the highest clarity rating, meaning they don't muffle music like traditional foam earplugs do. It's like the noise-cancelling feature on headphones, except you don't have to worry about charging these. They come in a wide selection of colours, and I'm a big fan of the Sienna Dust option, as they blend in so well with my ears, it's hard to tell I'm even wearing them. While there are a couple of models to choose from, I'm currently using the Hears One. They feature 20 decibels of noise reduction and come with 4 different ear tip sizes, so you can finally tune what kind of a fit you want. Weird what's on your screen fact you'll probably never hear me talk about again, but one of my ear canals is actually slightly bigger than the other, so I can put the large option in my left ear and the medium in my right. It's all about the details, people. Anyway, I'm not a big fan of carrying lots in my pockets. There's not much space these days astride my keys, gum, phone and wallet, but Hears haven't wasted any space on the case these come with. It's a dinky little thing I normally keep inside my inner coat pocket for easy access. So if you're worried about damaging your ears going into noisy spots like bars, nightclubs, or even underground trains, I don't blame you. Around 20% of the world's population is impacted by hearing loss. If you're interested in getting a pair of Hears, check out the link in the description of this video. There's a 10% discount code there for viewers of this channel. Okay, back to performance benchmarks. The M1 MacBook Air scores 2,347 in Geekbench 6's single-core CPU test. The M4 Air sits at 3,696 in the same test, with the base M5 at 4,228. I'm actually quite surprised by the M5's result. It's apparently almost 80% better than M1. I'd take that result with a grain of salt if I'm honest, as the M5 MacBooks are new enough that the dust hasn't fully settled on the bigger picture. It does sound pretty promising though. Multi-core performance is divided across the board as well. As it stands, M1, M4 and M5 have Geekbench 6 scores of 8,300, 14,600 and 17,400. There's no denying that's a serious gap. Yes, M1 is holding on at the moment when it comes to video editing, and I don't find myself complaining much, but it's clear that once more features are added to apps from big developers like Adobe, this older MacBook is going to struggle a lot more. So here's what I recommend doing in 2026. Yes, M5 is a seriously decent upgrade, but it'll cost you. A base model machine isn't going to magically appear under $1,000 or pounds anytime soon. If I were in the market for a new main machine right now, I'd say grab an M4 MacBook Air in whichever size suits you best, and use the money you saved on avoiding M5 to up your storage to at least 512 GB. The 13-inch M1 MacBooks are unbeatable computers for the price, but we can't keep expecting years out of these at the top forever. Thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe if you get a minute, as interactions do go a long way to help me out. And hey, there's a MacBook Neo video coming next week where I compare it to all these older Macs and even the 12-inch MacBook. Don't tell the big creators though. Subscribers, I'll see you next week.